Hey everyone, I just got finished an awesome jump rope session about 10 minutes ago. Afterwards, I did some leg strengthening exercises as well as some stretching. Now I thought I'd get on the camera and make a video to address a question that I've often received in the past and that I still receive, and that is connected with how often should you jump rope? Jump rope frequency as well as duration. How long should you jump rope for? At the beginning of this clip, of this video, I exhaled using my mouth. It's quite cold today. I just wanted to look at the steam. If I'm jumping rope at a low intensity, it's a little bit of a segue, but I tend to breathe in and out using my nose. So I'll inhale with my nose and exhale with my nose. So I don't usually exhale with my mouth if I'm at rest, as I am now. During the jump rope session earlier, because I increased the intensity several times throughout the workout, it became challenging to inhale and exhale. At those times, I will use my mouth to exhale, and then when my body has kind of recovered or I've dropped down the intensity enough, I will try to resume inhaling with my nose and exhaling with my nose. So in terms of how often should you jump rope frequency, and how long should your jump rope sessions be? I'll give you a little bit of history. When I first started jumping rope, I would have tried when I was in elementary school and even in secondary school, but I never got the hang of it. I used to see people in our neighborhoods, for example, jumping rope, and they used to make it look so easy. But anytime I tried, I couldn't do it. The rope often got caught in my legs, or I found it exhausting. Even just jumping over the rope 3 or 4 times was exhausting, and that's because I was using my body far too much. I was spinning the rope using my arms and my legs. I was bringing my knees really up high off the ground, and that was just exhausting. And because I was jumping so high off the ground, anytime I landed on the ground, I tended to land on the ground with a lot of impact, with a thud. And because I was jumping so high, oftentimes my feet, almost the whole sole of my foot, would make contact with the ground, and that's not good for speed. If you're spending too much time on the ground with your feet, it increases the likelihood of the rope getting caught in your legs or your feet, especially because when you're new to jumping rope, sometimes you're spinning the rope far too fast. Your timing is not right between your wrists, your upper body, and your lower body. So when I was a kid, I had tried jumping rope a few times, but it wasn't something I stuck with. I was often playing, say, for example, roller hockey, ball hockey, soccer, baseball, rugby. So jumping rope was not something I did. Even though in those times I was really interested in the martial arts and boxing. We often had a heavy bag that we had access to, so I used that all the time. And I remember watching boxers train. I'd see footage of them on TV, for example, training jumping rope, and I always thought it looked so cool, but I just figured in my mind that it was not something for me. Fast forward later on in life, I was playing a lot of ice hockey, and then one year when the ice hockey season kind of came to a close, that's when I decided, you know what, I'm watching, say, the likes of Floyd Mayweather jump rope all the time. I was watching YouTube videos, and I always thought it looked so cool, the different moves, and as well as the sound when he performed these moves. I said, now that I have more time, I'm going to focus on learning the moves that Floyd Mayweather did. So I went out, I bought a jump rope. I remember I was so excited. As soon as I left the store, I took the rope out of the package, and then I tried to jump rope right then and there on the sidewalk. And of course, the rope got caught in my feet. I tried a few times. It was exhausting, but I stuck with it. I studied different people's jump rope technique on YouTube. I began with, I think I had a list of like 30 different jump rope moves that I wanted to learn. I began with the regular 2-foot hop, jumping off the ground with both feet together, landing on the ground. When I was able to do that relatively well, jumping in the same place, I started doing it moving around in circles, or moving forwards and backwards, as well as from side to side. And then after learning the basic 2-foot hop, I started learning slightly more advanced variations. For example, the 2-foot hop, going from side to side like a downhill mogul skier. And then I learned the bell hop, jumping rope with your 2 feet, just going forwards and backwards. And then I started learning more challenging jump rope moves. And at the beginning, because I was so excited, so keen to learn how to jump rope and eventually, hopefully, be able to jump rope like Floyd Mayweather, I often jumped rope 6-7 days a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times in a given day. But importantly, I didn't do too much too soon. I only jumped for a few minutes at a time. So oftentimes, if we're learning a new activity, we can be so keen to learn it that we do too much too soon, and that can be a recipe for injury. So a lot of people who are new to jumping rope, they do too much too soon, or they try to use too much intensity. And a lot of people new to jumping rope, their technique is not good. Mine neither. So for example, you might jump too high off the ground, and because you land on the ground with such impact, that places your body at a higher chance of being injured. So when we're new to an activity, oftentimes our technique is not good, and we try to do too much too often, which is a recipe for injury. So if you're new to jumping rope, maybe you haven't done it maybe you've never done it before, or you haven't done it since childhood, and you want to take it up again. Listen to your body. Don't do too much too soon. Maybe a few minutes in any given day is enough. And then as the weeks go by, you can increase the duration of how long you listen or how long you jump rope. But really listen to your body and make sure you warm up a little bit. Maybe rotate your ankles, for example, perform some toe tapping moves against the ground. I wrote a book, how to eliminate and avoid plantar fasciitis, which is a foot pain and heel pain. But in that book, there are several fantastic exercises that help strengthen your toes, your feet, your Achilles tendons, and the muscles of your lower legs, which are common places to get injured when people begin jumping rope. So if you're new to jumping rope, or for example, if you have plantar fasciitis, that book could be extremely helpful. Going back to Floyd Mayweather. So if you've ever watched Floyd Mayweather jump rope, you will know that he is incredibly skillful. He can perform so many cool jump rope moves. But there are many incredible boxers currently and throughout history who were fantastic boxers, championship boxers, but they didn't look that skillful on a jump rope. One of my favorite boxers, for example, the Puerto Rican champion, Miguel Cotto, when he jumped rope, you could tell that if he wanted to, he could perform all different jump rope moves, advanced tricks, if he put in the time. And maybe he did in his youth. Maybe he could do all these jump rope moves. But when he was actually training, he used the skipping rope, as a tool just to warm up or to cool down. So when he jumped rope, he would basically use just boxer skips. He was jumping low off the ground. He was keeping his body nice and relaxed, focusing on controlling his breathing. So he wasn't performing any advanced jump rope moves or tricks, nothing too fancy. He was just using the jump rope as a kind of a conditioning tool and to practice being light on the toes and balls of his feet. If you're an athlete, the exercise activities that you do, say outside of your specific sport, they should complement your activity, but they shouldn't, or your main sport, they shouldn't take away from it. So if you're trying to learn a lot of jump rope moves, advanced jump rope tricks, that's awesome. They're a lot of fun, but you just got to really listen to your body. We want to make sure that you're not opening yourself up for injury, or you're not taking away from your main sport training. So for example, if you're doing too much jump rope, you could leave yourself open for injury, or you could expend too much energy and then you're not able to give enough energy to your actual sport. So really, if you're new to jumping rope, start slow. A few minutes, a few times a week is perfect, and then gradually increase the duration of your jump rope sessions. And then begin with basic skipping moves like the 2-foot hop, the side-to-side skier jump, the bell hop. I have a playlist on my channel, how to jump rope or how to become a better jump roper. And it has a lot of videos connected with moves that you want to learn if you're new to jumping rope. So once you learn the basics, your technique improves, then you can start incorporating more advanced jump rope moves, and all along your body will become more used to the activity that you're performing. your skill level is going to improve, your fitness will improve as well for learning jump rope moves. So you'll be able to jump rope for longer periods of time without experiencing any pain or injury. And you might even find that once you're starting learning more intense jump rope moves, like double unders or crisscrosses, because those moves place a little bit more impact on your body, they're a little bit more challenging cardiovascularly speaking, you may have to work out or jump rope fewer times per week. You may need to give yourself more time to recover. So when I first started jumping rope, I often jumped rope 6 or 7 times a week. And as I said, I sometimes jump rope a few times in any given day. But I was learning more basic jump rope moves. As I started learning more advanced jump rope tricks, I remember I was so keen to learn double unders and crisscrosses. I was jumping far too long in any given session that I often hurt myself. So I would have been better off dialing back the training and adding some recovery days in between. And that's what I had to do later on. As I increased the intensity, I often had to maybe have more rest days in between workouts, or in a given jump rope session. If I was learning double unders, for example, I perform some and then I would take a little bit of a break. I just walk around, relax before beginning again. So the actual time that I might have spent jumping rope could be quite long, but I actually had a lot of breaks in between. If the rope got caught in my feet, I just kind of chilled out for a minute or two and began again. So I just listened to my body. So really, if you're new to jumping rope, don't do too much too soon. Be patient. You have time. Like a bow and arrow, sometimes you got to go back before you can go forward. Maybe you need to rest, listen to your body, warm up. The book that I mentioned, I'll link it down below in the description. It has some fantastic exercises to help your body avoid getting injured. And if you are already injured, if you have feet problems, foot arch pain, heel pain, calf muscle strain, that book will really help you recover and avoid similar future injuries. And again, if you're an athlete, you want to learn how to jump rope, that's awesome. It's a fantastic form of exercise. It's so much fun, and it has numerous health benefits associated with it. For example, you could help strengthen your bones, and that could help you avoid injuries when you're playing your sport. But listen to your body. Don't do too much too soon. A few minutes, a few times a week is fantastic. When I started playing ice hockey again, and I was still jumping rope at that time, I often jumped rope on days when I wasn't playing ice hockey. Or I would use the jump rope as a form of warm-up. I would jump rope maybe for 5, 10, 15 minutes before going to the ice rink, or even I would use it as a form of a cool down. If I got home, sometimes I jumped rope for 5, 10, 15 minutes before showering. So that's another thing you can do. So a lot of athletes, a lot of boxers, they might jump rope for, say, 10 to 15 minutes before their boxing session, or 10 to 15 minutes and or 10 to 15 minutes after a jump rope session. And that could be highly beneficial if you're an athlete. Let's say, for example, you have a couple practices a week for your sport, or maybe you have some gym sessions. On the days you're not playing your sport, you could do a few minutes of jump rope on those days. If you're new to it, start out with a few minutes and then gradually increase how long your sessions are, gradually increase the difficulty of the moves that you're learning, but really listen to your body. If you're starting to feel pain, maybe back off. On the days that you're playing your sport, if you're just doing some weight training, for example, you could warm up with jumping rope from anywhere from 5 to 10, 15, 20 minutes. If you want to go a little bit longer, you can do that too. Just listen to your body, and I highly recommend just taking breaks. If you're jumping rope and the rope's getting caught in your feet, your legs, walk around for a little bit. If you're learning a more advanced jump rope move and it's going to force you to maybe breathe a little harder, do some repetitions, and then if you make a mistake or you're breathing maybe far too hard, you can just stop, walk around for a little bit before resuming again. So I hope this is somewhat helpful. If you're new to jumping rope, make sure you warm up your body. Begin with maybe a few minutes, a few times a week. Gradually increase how long you're jumping rope. Gradually start incorporating more advanced jump rope moves. Those more advanced jump rope moves might place more strain on your body. So really listen to your body. A couple of jump rope sessions a week is fantastic. 1 time a week, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Listen to your body. Gradually increase the intensity and the duration. And if you're an athlete, remember the jump rope should complement your sport. It shouldn't take away from you. You don't want to spend so much time jumping rope to the point that you're kind of exhausting yourself or you're placing your body at increased risk for injury. Interestingly enough, the longer you have jumped rope, let's say if you've been jumping rope for a few months or a few years, you will find that you are able to jump rope for longer periods of time without experiencing fatigue, or there'll be far less impact on your body. So let's say, for example, you're learning how to do the basic boxer skip. At the beginning, you might find it quite tiring because when you're learning something, you can be too tense. Your muscles might engage far more than necessary, and you're expending energy unnecessarily. And also your technique, your footwork might not be too good. You might be jumping slightly too high off the ground, which is going to be tiring, and it's also going to be harder on your body. The longer you practice, the more you practice, you'll find that you get so good at it that you're almost able to perform it without thinking. Your body will be nice and relaxed. You'll be jumping so low off the ground that you won't be placing any impact on your body. So you will be able to jump rope for longer periods of time far more easily than you could in the past. Once your technique improves, you'll expend far less energy. The activity, jumping rope, will be far less place less strain on your body. So you'll naturally be able to do it for longer and longer periods of time without it being as tiring or without placing as much strain on your body. And that's when you can really start maybe spinning the rope a little bit faster and going for more repetitions of certain moves. But just initially, really listen to your body. Don't do too much too soon. Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week.